Hi, everyone. Judge Andrew Napolitano here for Judging Freedom. Today is Thursday, October 20th, 2022. It's a little after 5 o'clock on the East Coast of the United States. Our guest today, who is no stranger to the Judging Freedom audience, who comes to us from the West Coast of the United States, is Dr. Joel Wallach, a naturopathic physician who has partnered, as you may know, with Judging Freedom to form Judging Health, which is the website that you can reach and access for nearly all of your healthcare, nutrition-based needs. Dr. Wallach will talk a little bit more about this in a moment. But today, first of all, Dr. Wallach, it's been about 2 weeks, so I feel a little empty without you. But welcome back to Judging Freedom.
Well, thank you, sir. It's an honor to be with you.
Thank you. Today, I think you're going to talk about joint replacements.
That's correct.
Now, I have to tell you that I understand you to be, and I know personally that you are, because you've advised me and a lot of other people that I know and think highly of, a naturopathic physician who has helped a lot of people, including me, to help the body to heal itself by the ingestion of minerals ordinarily today missing in our diet. But what does a naturopathic physician do with the need for a joint replacement?
Well, it's a great question, Judge, and I really appreciate your wisdom because it's highly improbable, okay? But it goes back to, I played a lot of sports when I was a kid. I wrestled, I played football. I was only 110 pounds, but I played on the offensive and defensive line in football. I wrestled at 110 pounds, lettered in both sports. And so, but I was always seeing people with injuries and stuff. I never had the problems because I had, when I was 9 years old, I had a very, very terrible, let's see here, level of behavioral problems. Okay. And they were going to institutionalize me. And I didn't want that to happen. So I started eating animal food with vitamins and minerals in it. As an option to going into these various places. I was 9 years old, and in 3 days' time, I cured myself. It freaked all the doctors out. What did you do? What drugs are you taking? Well, sir, I'm only 9 years old. I didn't take any drugs. I didn't tell them what I did, but they couldn't put me in the lockup because I didn't have the problems anymore. So I realized when I was 9 years old that the doctors didn't know everything about health and that there was room for people like myself. And so at first I went on to veterinary school because we lived on a farm and I got a degree in agriculture, got a degree in veterinary medicine. And I was working with, let's see here, Marlon Perkins, an old Mutual Omaha Kingdom show. And I'm treating people who had arthritis and osteoporosis. And to make a long story short, I came up with these products and they fired me. Okay, so I had to go back to school and do something. So I became a naturopathic doctor so I could see human patients. And so my first products were always named after animals. My pig arthritis formula, my pig heart pack, and all that kind of stuff, because I wanted people to know I'm a veterinarian. I'm not a physician, but I went back to school and became a naturopathic doctor. I became a naturopathic physician, and that was in.
Well, if I came to you with a joint that needed to be replaced, let's say my knee from a high school football injury. I did have a high school football injury. My knee doesn't have to be replaced, and as you know from our conversations, I work out 3 times a week with a trainer, and the knee is in great shape. But let's say my knee needed to be replaced. That was just getting worse and worse and worse. What would you advise?
Okay, well, we're going to rebuild your knee. Okay, the beautiful thing that God did was make us in such a way that we could be rebuilt. And my first patient from my healthy bone and joint pack was Theo Ratliff. He was a 24-year-old. You may remember the name Theo Ratliff. He was a 24-year-old All-American basketball player from, let's see here, Atlanta, Georgia Tech. And he had the cartilage wore off of both his knees. Cartilage came off his left hip, and he fractured his wrist on his right shooting arm. So they took away his contract. He was playing for the Atlanta Hawks. They took away his $35 million contract when he was 24 years old. And Pastor Creflo Dollar introduced me to him and says, "Can you do anything for him?" I said, "Yes, sir. I'm going to give him a nutritional program and a diet," which we did. And in 90 days, it had regrown his knees, his hip, his wrist. He came back. He played for 11 years, Your Honor. He played 11 years, made $100 million in contracts for playing professional basketball.
All right. So tell me, what was regrown, not the bone?
Oh, yes, sir. The bone, the cartilage, the ligaments, the tendons, the connective tissue, everything was part of the skeletal system, which is a very complex system because it's not just bone. It's bone and cartilage and connective tissue and ligaments and so forth.
And what did you give him that stimulated and produced this regrowth?
Well, I stimulated the growth, but I also gave him all the raw materials that were necessary for the bones to regrow and to repair themselves. The good Lord gave us the ability to repair ourselves, but we do need stuff to do it. Now, unfortunately, nutritional minerals do not occur in a uniform blanket around the crust of the earth. They occur in veins like gold and silver. Also, we had easy access to these minerals through wood ashes and coal ashes up until 3 o'clock in the afternoon, Monday, September 4th, 1882, when Thomas Edison pulled the switch and turned on the electricity and everybody ran to electricity. We didn't have any more wood ashes or any more coal ashes anymore. We wrote a best-selling book called Hell's Kitchen, named after that terrible district in New York City where everything goes wrong. And so Hell's Kitchen, it tells the story of the transition from thousands of years of using wood ashes as a fertilizer in our garden, and the carrots and the onions and tomatoes and potatoes and stuff would soak up the minerals. We get the minerals.
But I'm interested in this basketball player, this professional athlete.
Yes, Theo Ratliff.
You persuaded him not to have surgery, not to have any joint replacement.
That's correct.
But to accept your minerals and supplements. And after 90 days, whatever was ailing him was cured, and he went back and played for the Atlanta Hawks for another 11 years. So I have that right?
That's correct.
And these supplements are the same ones that are available on your website today?
That is correct. Okay.
How would one know what supplements to take? Or stated differently, Dr. Wallach, how would one know if one needs to have bone or cartilage or soft tissue regrown?
Okay. Well, the doctor would tell him that, look, you got to do surgery. We're going to have to amputate your leg and give you an artificial leg. We're going to give you an artificial hip. We're going to give you an artificial knee, all that kind of stuff. And they come to me because they don't want all that artificial stuff. This started again in 1982. And Theo Ratliff was my first one. So I had to come up with a program for healing bones and cartilage and ligaments and tendons and cartilage and stuff like that, which we did. Well, we have 21 best-selling books. Hell's Kitchen is that transition, okay, from wood and coal as fuel. We're getting minerals that way through the ashes. The ashes were 98% minerals, only 3% carbon, okay. And then epigenetics, which is a summary of my thesis, which is in the Smithsonian Institute as a national treasure, because I found out that there are no genetically transmitted diseases, there are no autoimmune diseases, they're all nutritional deficiency diseases. So my thesis is in the Smithsonian Institute as a national treasure.
Let me interrupt you for a minute. Are MDs trained in nutrition?
No,
are
sir.
They trained to recognize nutritional deficiencies?
No, sir. They just say, okay, they take an X-ray.
Medical school.
See, they don't learn that in medical school, because what happens is somebody comes in with swollen knee, they take an X-ray, they say, oh, you have arthritis in your knee. Okay, that's all they know. Grandma, before that, for thousands of years, when kids had, because right now we have 300,000 kids in America under age 16 with arthritis. When kids have arthritis in their knees and their shoulders and their hips and knees and back and wrists and shoulders and elbows and ankles and so forth, Grandma says, oh, you have growing pains. you have growing pains, and you'll outgrow this as you get older. And it might be because as they got older, they would start eating bone broth and eating the ends off of bones and things that they didn't do when they were a kid. Okay. And so they could actually get rid of the osteoporosis and arthritis at that time. And
I don't remember what I was complaining about, but I haven't heard this phrase in 65 years. But I remember now my grandmother and even my mother saying, "You're having growing pains."
yeah, because you had pains in your ankle, your knees, your hips, your back, your shoulders, your neck. You had pain everywhere.
Right.
Yeah.
And was it a nutritional deficiency, which
Yes,
I
sir.
eventually overcame?
Well, your body adapted to it because you're eating an adult diet as opposed to a kid's diet. You know, kids, you're probably eating oatmeal for breakfast, so it was damaging your intestines. You couldn't absorb nutrition. And people, you can't tell from a blood test. You have to get a hair analysis. And so he came up with this book. It's called Rare Earth's Forbidden Cures. Go to chapter 1011, page 272, tells you how to collect the hair, where to ship it. Don't forget to put the check in there because the lab won't run the test. It'll tell you where your nutritional minerals are at in levels. Are they good? Are they bad? Are they deficient? And so forth. And they also go into poisonous minerals like lead and mercury and that kind of thing. And so that book is very useful. And so we have standard programs now. We've developed these standard programs, and they go all over the world. Athletes of every sport, probably, I probably have, I don't know how many million athletes of all ages all over the world who use my programs because they work. They rebuild the knees and the hips and the shoulders and the wrists and the ankles and the backs and the necks and all this kind of stuff. So they can go back and play and get their money. Okay. And the cost to the general public is very high because they're listening to their grandmother. Oh, listen to your doctor, go to your doctor. And so they go to the doctor, and the doctor says, oh, you have osteoporosis, and we're going to have to do some surgery on you and blah, 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 blah. And you're going to be on these medications forever. Okay, but insurance pays, and so the doctor doesn't feel guilty about it, and the patient doesn't mind so much because insurance is paying for the pain relief. Again, we spend $626.8 billion a year just to treat the symptoms of arthritis in America. Just to treat the symptoms, not to prevent it or cure it. $626.8 billion annually. Okay, it's totally wasted money. I can eliminate that in 90 days if everybody would do what I would say. And then osteoporosis, we spend $6.5 trillion a year just to treat symptoms of osteoporosis in the U.S., Canada.
Wait. $6.5 trillion are spent to treat osteoporosis in the United States?
The United States, Canada, and the EU, those three countries, because we all have the same background.
What is osteoporosis? Is that a form of arthritis?
Well, it is. Yeah, arthritis is osteoporosis of the joints. Okay, osteoporosis is of the long part of the bone. Okay, that's where people get. You know, I was just walking down the stairs. I broke my femur and my thigh bone broke. Okay, and that's where doctors want to give them an artificial leg, amputate their leg, give them an artificial limb, and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, there's no sense even mess with these bones are falling apart. We'll just give you an artificial leg and amputate them and so forth. But 6.5 trillion annually to treat osteoporosis in the United States, Canada, and the EU. And then it's $626.8 billion a year just to treat the symptoms of arthritis in America. That's just America, $626.8 billion. Okay, plus 1/3 of that, 6.5 trillion. So it's 2.2 trillion.
Okay, so let's say I go to judginghealth.com.
Okay.
And I'm looking for something to address a pain in my wrist. And I find the product. What is in that product?
Okay.
That will address the underlying issue of arthritis in the wrist.
Okay. It's not a product. Okay. That's kind of a misthinking on terms of the doctor. Oh, I'm going to give you this painkiller. They give them a painkiller, and the patient's happy because the pain is gone, but the disease keeps going and getting worse and worse and worse. Then they finally get to the point where they're going to amputate them and give them a false limb or something like that. But basically, as a veterinarian, I learned a long time ago, okay, and in agricultural school, I learned a long time ago, and as a pathologist, $25 million in grants. My thesis is in the Smithsonian Institute's National Treasure because I showed what causes all these diseases. My thesis sold for $25,000 each. Now, the book that is a kind of a summary of the thesis is this one. It sells for only $25, not $25,000. It's $25. But the thesis, you can go to any of the Smithsonian Institute libraries and say, I want to see Dr. Wallach's book, Disease of Exotic Animals. And they send a guard with you because people want to steal the book. So they always send a guard with them so they don't pick up the book and put them in their purse or their briefcase and walk out with them. So basically, what we did, we come up with what we call the Healthy Brain and Heart Pack. Okay, it really deals with every tissue of the body, but we couldn't list every tissue in the body on the label. The label wasn't big enough, so we called it the Healthy Brain and Heart Pack. And the Healthy Brain and Heart Pack has 215 nutrients in it, 90 of which everybody, including medical doctors, agree are essential nutrients. Okay, the others we're working on getting them to be considered essential nutrients. But at any rate, Healthy Brain and Heart Pack, 1 per 100 pounds of body weight per month. Then the MSM, this actually regrows cartilage and ligaments and tendons and connective tissue, including your heart valves and walls of arteries and veins.
What is it? What are the minerals that are in the MSM that cause this regrowth?
There's 60 minerals. There's 60 minerals.
Wow.
Okay, there's 60 of them, but we have different, which I say, we add more of some of those minerals, depending on what disease you have. For instance, diabetes is a simple nutritional deficiency. It's not a genetic disease or autoimmune disease of any way, shape, or form. Type 2 diabetes, which makes up 98% of diabetes, is totally a nutritional deficiency disease of minerals. So we came up with what we call the Healthy Blood Sugar Pack for that. And then I don't care if you've had type 2 diabetes for 45 years and 2 to 6 weeks, it's gone. That's what makes us different. That's why people come to us. That's why all these professional athletes come to us. That's why all these Olympic athletes, we get Olympic athletes from all over the world come by the hundreds every month for us to.
You know, we are all brainwashed, I suppose, to a certain extent by the medical community.
And
just off the top of my head, I could name 10 friends who are, let's say, between the age 65 and age 80, who've had joint replacements, knee or hip. They're so
totally
common.
Unnecessary.
Here in northern New Jersey, there are doctors who do nothing but it. You look at their websites and they say, I've done 10,000, I've done 15,000 of them.
That's true.
Could it be true that the vast majority of these were not necessary and could have been addressed by nutritional deficiency or by a means of addressing nutritional deficiency?
Your Honor, you're a genius. You're exactly right. You picked it out right away. That's right. 99% of the time, when people have arthritis, osteoporosis, when they have all these various things going on with their bones and ligaments and tendons, connective tissue, they do not need surgery and joint replacement surgeries and limb replacement surgeries and all that kind of stuff. No. I always say, give me 90 days before you go to that direction. Give me 90 days. Okay, you've been suffering for years, so what's 90 days? Give me 90 days, do exactly as I say. And I don't charge anything for my cost. You'll pay wholesale prices for the products. I take nothing for my cost. Okay, and so, so it's like you're getting my services for free. Okay, and so it's one of those things where I did it that way, so there would be no reason for people not to do this because I wanted to see as many positives as we could.
Dr. Wallach, you never stop amazing us. We'll come up with a topic for next week. This has been a fascinating 20 minutes with you. Thank you very much for joining us. Thank you again.
Well, God bless you, Your Honor. God bless you, sir.
Okay, there it is, judginghealth.com. Judge Napolitano for Judging Health and Judging Freedom.